On the day Livia Sterling won the Best Actress award, her longtime puppy love congratulated her with a heartfelt message. The content was sincere and genuine, mixed with memories of the years they spent together in school uniforms. The trending topic quickly topped the charts, and everyone online was hoping for their reunion. I sent a message questioning her, but I received a warning from Livia Sterling. "Quinn, you're just my manager. Don't overreach." But she forgot that. A fortnight ago at the wrap party for her new drama, she had just confessed her feelings to me. I resigned and joined a rival company. Years later, Livia Sterling was dethroned from her Best Actress title by a newcomer. The youthful and vibrant new Best Actress held the microphone and publicly expressed her gratitude to Livia Sterling, as well as her feelings for me. If it weren't for Sister Livia's generous support, how could Quinn bring along a newcomer like me? I can only sit in this Best Actress position in place of my sister. Ding! Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. We were desk mates in middle school. She had low blood sugar, and I always left a lemon-flavored candy on her desk after class. If it weren't for my family urging me to study abroad, we wouldn't have separated. Saying this now seems somewhat forced, but she will always be the bright moon hanging in the sky of my heart. Livia Sterling's first love, Cecil Winchester, wrote a deeply moving piece, even including an old photo of the two of them. In that somewhat yellowed photo, two young figures were closely leaning against each other. The boy had his arm around Livia Sterling's shoulder, smiling brightly and proudly, and Livia Sterling, blushing, had happiness shining in her eyes. The whole internet knew about their past and wanted to see them get back together. The company's official account was almost overwhelmed. Only I, like a dark monster, frantically scrolled through every comment in the shadows. Every blessing felt like a knife stabbing my heart. I closed my eyes and threw my phone aside. The sound of the door opening came, and Livia Sterling, reeking of alcohol, kicked off her red high heels. She turned on the light and found me sitting on the sofa, first stunned, then frowning. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" I pointed to my phone. "Don't you have anything to say? It's just a social media post. We're all adults here. Don't you think it's childish to make a fuss over something so trivial?" She shrugged dismissively. "So, you think this is just a trivial matter? Then why don't you officially announce our relationship?" I felt anger at her nonchalance, but she was right. We were all adults, and we shouldn't let our emotions dictate how we handle things. Livia Sterling burped and tossed her expensive Hermes bag onto the sofa. "Isn't it enough? You know my situation better than anyone. Do you really want to ruin my career?" She didn't look at me again and walked into the bathroom. I was the top agent at Cheeming Entertainment, and I usually didn't take on newcomers. Coincidentally, that time I brought my own artist to audition for a play. That's where I first met Livia Sterling. She wasn't particularly outstanding among the newcomers. Her youthful face couldn't hide her underlying anxiety. She was aiming for a minor role with only a few lines. I watched her fall on stage, get back up and fall again. Her tears brimmed in her eyes as she trembled, struggling to recite her lines under everyone's mocking gaze. I didn't know what compelled me, but I specifically went backstage to hand her a cup of hot water. She didn't take it but choked out that she was no worse than anyone else. One day, she would stand under the spotlight on the world stage. Her stubbornness moved me, and I signed her under Cheeming Entertainment, bringing her along with me. Later, I found out that day, Cecil Winchester had broken up with her and flew to Australia. Cecil Winchester's parents disdained her, saying she had nothing but her looks. She participated in this audition just to prove she wasn't just a pretty face. When Livia Sterling first came to my side, she was indeed very serious. I was drawn to her determination and gradually gave up on other artists, managing all her activities and even taking on the role of her personal assistant. During that time, everyone in the company knew I cared about her. Even the boss joked, "Affection starts with admiration. Quinn, don't get yourself too involved." At the wrap party for her new drama, Livia Sterling looked at me with eyes full of admiration. It's my luck from 8 lifetimes that you're willing to take me under your wing, Quinn. I just don't know if I can get a chance to take care of you too." As she wished, I also fell for this hardworking and earnest girl. However, after getting together with Livia Sterling, we didn't make an official announcement. She was in a rising phase of her career and was very reluctant to go public. It's annoying to be followed by paparazzi, and many fans won't accept that I have a boyfriend. Besides, being in a relationship is a matter for 2 people. I don't want people asking so many questions. As her manager, I naturally understood the impact of publicly announcing a relationship on an artist. I compromised. The next day, I took a day off from work and slept until noon all by myself. When I woke up and opened my phone, the trending news was blowing up again. Livia Sterling was openly meeting her first love, and the two were having lunch at a Western restaurant, caught in full view by the paparazzi. The comments section was flooded with get-together messages. I called her 10 times in a row, but no one answered. The last call rang once before it was cut off. I threw my phone in frustration and drove straight to the office. Livia was putting on makeup when she saw me rush in. She didn't seem surprised at all. "It's just publicity. Don't overreact." The anticipation and admiration she once had in her eyes when she looked at me were completely gone, replaced by indifference. My chest felt heavy. I remembered last year when she was filming and needed to go into the water. In November, the river in the Northeast was freezing, and she NG'd 5 times. That night, she developed a high fever. I had to carry her 2 kilometers through the reserve to find a car and take her to the hospital. When she woke up and saw my worn-out face, she cried, saying, "You saved my life. From now on, my life is yours." I didn't care about life or death, but I felt cold at her current actions. Livia noticed my gloomy expression, sighed, and linked her arm with mine. "Okay, I'll clarify things. There's a banquet in the afternoon. After it ends, I'll post something and tell everyone you're my real boyfriend. Is that okay?" She tiptoed and pinched my face like she used to. "Getting mad over something like this? Aren't you embarrassed?" I leaned on the balcony, smoking, waiting for the banquet to end so Livia could clarify things. I got the official announcement, but it wasn't with me. Livia's first love, Cecil Winchester, updated his status. "Thanks for everyone's blessings. We're finally back together." The accompanying picture showed 2 hands intertwined. What made me angriest was that the company's official account had shared this status. This meant the boss was actually supportive of it. Fuming, I barged into the boss's office and found my rival, Vanessa Bennett, there as well. She had always competed with me, though her methods were not honorable. I had never cared to argue with her. The boss cleared his throat awkwardly and explained to me, "I see you've been working hard lately. How about this? Livia will be managed by Vanessa from now on, and I'll give you a 3-month vacation to rest." Couldn't believe it. What? I've worked tirelessly for 3 years to achieve this, and now someone wants to pick the ripe fruit. Vanessa raised her eyebrows, smiling suggestively. "Thanks to you, Ethan. Otherwise, how would Livia think about changing managers? How could this be?" Livia was someone I personally guided. Even if she didn't want to announce our relationship, she definitely wouldn't want to leave me. Taking a deep breath, I asked, "Did Livia want to change managers?" The boss nodded firmly. "Her relationship with her first love is hot right now. It's a good opportunity to promote her new drama. If you don't want to take a vacation, you can manage someone else." I understood the boss's choice. He was a pure businessman who would stand with anyone who could bring him profit. But I couldn't comprehend Livia's actions. 3 years of feelings couldn't be fake. Now that she was on top, did she think I was unnecessary? Just as I was about to argue further, my phone rang. Livia's unapologetic voice came through. "Ethan, let's forget about the clarification. Cecil wants to enter the entertainment industry, and I thought I could use this wave of popularity to pave the way for him." I heard my voice come out low and strained. "Then what's the deal with changing managers?" "Well, there were rumors that our relationship was more than friends, and I thought we shouldn't put our relationship on display. Otherwise, it would affect Cecil negatively. She thought our relationship would impact her first love. I laughed, feeling both relieved and liberated, and softly said, "Livia, let's break up." When I got home, I saw Livia standing in the living room, directing a few people to help her pack. There was so much stuff that the sofa had been pushed aside, and the photos of us on the wall were hanging askew, precariously dangling from a single nail. When Livia noticed me, she paused for a moment, then awkwardly turned her head away. Director Lee invited me to star in his new drama. I thought the crew was too far from where I live. It was a pale excuse, but I didn't feel the urge to make a big deal out of her lies. Just as I walked toward my room, the door swung open. Cecil Winchester held a beautiful aircraft carrier model, his eyes filled with excitement. The moment he saw me, it was as if he had been startled. The model fell from his hands and shattered into several pieces on the floor. The aircraft carrier model was a gift from Livia Sterling, bought with her first earnings. I still remember how her eyes sparkled as she presented it to me, holding a model wider than her shoulders, proudly offering it. "Quinn, just accept it. This is my heartfelt gift. I hope to place it somewhere visible so that whenever you look up, you'll think of me." Her smile was filled with anticipation, making it impossible for me to refuse. Now the model lay broken on the floor, just like her smile. Livia Sterling hurried over and stood in front of Cecil Winchester. She looked at the pieces on the ground, frowning slightly. "It's just a cheap model. If it's broken, it's broken." She gently patted Cecil Winchester's arm in a comforting manner. "It was Ethan Quinn who suddenly barged in and scared you. It's not your fault." Cecil Winchester's face was full of guilt, but his gaze towards me carried a hint of pride. "It's all my fault. Livia has said I'm clumsy before. Back in school, it was thanks to Livia that she always took care of me. This model looks a lot like the one Livia gave me back then, but unfortunately, I can't find mine anymore. So seeing it makes me very happy. After all, we are reuniting and the model is—" I didn't let him finish and countered, "Livia Sterling has her own room. Why did you come into mine? You entered my room and took my things. Don't you want to know about theft charges?" Before Cecil Winchester could respond, Livia Sterling grew anxious. "It's just that I went into your room. Who told you to leave it unlocked? Besides, this junk is something I gave you, so consider it returned." "Theft charges? I didn't know you were so calculative." Even if I let it go, the look of disgust on her face still stung me. For a moment, I felt like slapping her. Years of restraint and experience kept me calm, and I forced a not-so-pleasant smile. "It really is trash. It's better that it broke. If it weren't for someone insisting that I accept it back then, I wouldn't have even looked at it. Some people just forget their pain once they heal." I kicked up a piece of the model with my right foot, and with a gentle lift of my leg, the fragment fell into the trash can. "See? Trash belongs where it should go." I ignored the grim expression on Livia Sterling's face, pushed past Cecil Winchester, and tried to enter my room. But Livia Sterling grabbed me. I turned to look at her. Her eyes flickered, and her voice shifted from assertive to somewhat guilty. "You already know I want to change agents, right? I'm just switching for a while. Please don't use your connections to suppress Vanessa Bennett. Okay? Once this blows over, I'll let you come back. Is that all right?" I was taken aback that she would plead for Vanessa Bennett. When Livia first debuted, Vanessa Bennett had taken her to a drinking party. An investor insisted on having Livia accompany him and even poured red wine down her collar. Vanessa Bennett not only didn't stop it, but instead encouraged her to drink. "Who are you putting on a sad face for? Just drink up and flatter Mr. Zhang. If he spills a little resource, it'll be enough for you for a lifetime. I'm only doing this for your own good. I brought you here. Although Quinn can help you get resources, he has many artists under him. How much can he give you?" Mr. Zhang took the opportunity to lean in and squeeze Livia's waist hard. Livia, having never experienced such things, ran out crying to call me. At the time, I was overseas shooting with other artists. After hearing her cry, I rushed back on a 10-hour flight. If Vanessa Bennett weren't a woman, I would have confronted her on the spot. It was because of that incident that I became enemies with Vanessa Bennett, seeing her as a rival. I thought Livia would hate Vanessa Bennett too, but I didn't expect her to want Vanessa as her agent. Livia Sterling noticed the mockery in my eyes and recalled the drinking party. But she nonchalantly said, "Vanessa was just helping me broaden my horizons. Half a year ago, we had a meal and cleared things up. It was just a misunderstanding, and we laughed it off." A chill ran through me. It had been half a year, and I hadn't heard a whisper about it. Did the boss also think my achievements overshadowed him and start to marginalize me? I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible. "From now on, you can do whatever you want. I'm no longer your agent. But I'll remind you one last time. People are unpredictable. Take care of yourself." Vanessa Bennett is a meticulous opportunist. I don't believe she will wholeheartedly consider Livia's interests. And the boss, seasoned in business, knows how to maximize benefits. Livia Sterling, benefiting from my resources, sailing smoothly, hasn't experienced much of the world's cruelty. She thinks too simply about people. If that's the case, then let her experience it herself. I stopped paying attention to Livia Sterling and walked into the room. The place showed signs of having been ransacked. Aside from the model, several figurines were thrown on the floor. I took out my phone to take pictures and save the evidence. The model that Livia gave me didn't count, but these figurines were worth thousands. Breaking into someone else's room and damaging their property. Regardless of whether I could teach them a lesson in the end, I wouldn't just swallow my anger. Wasn't Livia the one who said I was petty? Well, I'd show her what being petty looked like. After doing all this, I opened my computer and wrote a resignation letter, sending it to my boss's email. There's nothing worth missing in such a place where the birds are gone and the bows are hidden. People are the same. When my boss called, pretending to persuade me not to leave, the company's official account had already posted the news about Cecil Winchester's debut. Livia used her popularity to pave the way for her first love, sharing her love notes from her student days. Those naive and tender words carried countless feelings of budding affection and admiration. The comments were all excited. "I remember my own youth. Is it because of our Livia entering the entertainment industry? Traveling across the ocean for love. How wonderful. We'll get to see them show their love on screen in the future." And Cecil Winchester directly posted a set of photos. It was a shoot of him and Livia at the beach. They were hugging each other, holding hands while walking on the sand, feeding seagulls together. The photographer was very professional, capturing the angles perfectly. It clearly showed the affection in Livia's eyes. Livia used to look at me with admiration, stubbornness, and grievance, but there was never love. Back then, I thought it was just her personality. She didn't quite understand. Now I realize, how could she not understand what love is? It's just that the person she loves isn't me. I flipped through the photos casually, feeling no ripples in my heart. Suddenly, my phone displayed an incoming call. I swiped the screen and answered. Livia's voice came through, loud and questioning. "Ethan Quinn, you're resigning? Is it really necessary? How could you be so petty?" No wonder Vanessa Bennett said you're not worth trusting. She suddenly paused for a moment, softening her tone. "I'm just changing managers for a few months. Once Cecil stabilizes, Vanessa will take over him, and you'll still be my manager." When people are speechless, they really do laugh. Couldn't help but chuckle. "Why do you say it as if I really want to manage you? Look at how well she arranged things, as if the whole world should revolve around her." Cecil Winchester's voice suddenly rang out. He had probably been listening to my call with Livia. "Ethan, you're not resigning because of me, right? Although I've never forgotten Livia and want to reconcile with her. If you don't like me, I'll just go to another company." Livia immediately comforted Cecil in a gentle tone. "Stay by my side. No one can force you out. It's disgusting to hear a guy talk so sweetly." I didn't want to listen to their lovey-dovey conversation and interrupted rudely. "Whether you've forgotten her, I don't know. But I heard your parents didn't approve of Livia back then and even humiliated her. It's her choice to swallow that disgusting thing again, despite past grievances. Please don't involve me. I'm not part of your play. Livia shouted angrily. Love is between two people. His parents can't stop us. If you leave, don't regret it. You gave up everyone just to try and control me, didn't you? I'm so outstanding. Without me, you're nothing. After hanging up, I felt somewhat bewildered. Livia couldn't possibly think that I gave up other artists because she was one of a kind. Could she? She probably forgot that before knowing her. I was the most resourceful top manager in the industry. When I went to the company to pack my things, I found someone using my computer. Vanessa was standing with her arms crossed, bossing around a Mediterranean guy in a checkered shirt. When will you unlock the password? Can you hurry up? At least get those contact numbers. She whispered her complaint. Livia shouldn't have left Ethan Quinn so quickly. It would be better to grab all his resources and then kick him out. It seems they all thought I was an easy target. I opened my phone and started recording. A few colleagues who were watching the commotion had already noticed me. They wanted to remind Vanessa Bennett but were startled by my glare. These people had benefited from me before, yet now they stood firmly on Vanessa's side without hesitation. Of course, I understood their predicament. After all, nobody wants to lose their job or be targeted, so they could only flatter the boss's favorite. But understanding or not, if they wanted to cause trouble in front of me, I wouldn't let them get away with it. I recorded for 15 minutes, and at the moment the password was cracked, I walked over and turned off the power. You bastard, you! Vanessa's words were cut off when she turned and saw the mocking smile on my face. Her face flushed red as she stammered. The boss said I should hand things over to you, so I smiled without answering, instead pulling out tools from the cabinet to dismantle the computer case. Vanessa didn't know what I was up to but realized she couldn't stop me, so she frantically called the boss. By the time the boss arrived, I had already removed the hard drive and, with a strong force, completely destroyed it. Then I picked up a chair and smashed it down onto the computer monitor. Standing amidst the wreckage, I shrugged at the boss. If you don't play fair, don't blame me for being rude. The boss forced a grim smile. Quinn, face is something we all give each other. Your reckless behavior could get the company to call the police. Of course, we've been together for so many years. If you hand over your contacts to me, we can part on good terms. I smiled and took out the video I had just recorded, playing it for him. I advise you to consult the company's legal department first. Moving my computer without my permission could incur legal consequences. I added, this is my personal computer, not company property. Under the boss's gloomy gaze, I took my belongings and headed downstairs, but I was stopped by Livia Sterling. Livia had also rushed over, followed closely by Cecil Winchester. When she saw me, she lunged forward, wanting to hug my waist, but I dodged away. I waved my hand impatiently. Are you trying to frame me? Her arm froze in midair, disbelief filling her eyes. Ethan Quinn, how dare you talk to me like this? She sighed again, coming up to tug at my sleeve in a soothing manner. Do you know how sad I am to hear you say you want to break up? Can we get back together? Stop messing around. I'm not changing agents. Her acting wasn't very convincing. If it weren't for my full support, she wouldn't have reached the position of Best Actress. So I could clearly see the restraint and frustration in her eyes, as if she had to endure something just to gain some benefit from me. It must have been the boss who forced her to come. How fake. I didn't respond but instead bypassed her and looked at Cecil Winchester standing behind her. Cecil's lips were pressed into a thin line, glaring at me with a look of near resentment. Being young has its downsides. You can't hide your feelings. I pulled Livia's fingers away and coldly said, I don't want to get back together with you. You. Livia frowned tightly, looking as if I was truly ungrateful, and wanting to say something more. Suddenly, her phone rang. After seeing the text message, she smiled at me confidently. I got nominated for the Golden Horse Award. She seemed to gain confidence, lifting her chin high. Are you regretting it now? Cecil stepped forward to hold Livia's hand, giving me the illusion that they were supporting each other through thick and thin. I knew it. Livia is the most impressive. I felt sick to my stomach and quickly sidestepped Livia, leaving without looking back. Livia roared angrily behind me. Ethan Quinn, right now you're just a stray dog. When the time comes, even if you kneel down to beg me, I won't forgive you. I arrived at my rival's office building, Stellar Entertainment. It's not like I wanted to give my old boss a hard time. I was actually planning to take a break for a while. After taking on Livia Sterling's events, I hardly had a moment to relax. Even when Livia went to a bar, I stayed up until midnight, worried she might get photographed and end up trending. Just after I resigned, I don't know how Stellar got wind of it, but they insisted on discussing life with me. I sat in the boss's office on the 18th floor of Stellar, holding a glass of red wine while gazing out the window. My childhood friend Adam Rollins was grinning like a fox. Did you really get kicked out already? Quinn, your judgment isn't that great. Huh. I shot him a glare, reminding him of what he had said earlier. Who was it that made me go undercover at Cheeming? Adam rubbed his nose. I told you to scout some promising newcomers, not to become a lackey for Cheeming. I fell silent. If I hadn't met Livia Sterling, I would have certainly delivered quite a few talents to Stellar. Adam clicked his tongue a couple of times but didn't press the issue further. Instead, he started talking about something else. You're back just in time. Help me with some newcomers. You have no idea, today's newbies. Before he could finish, someone kicked open the office door. A young and pretty girl stormed in, fuming, and slammed her hand on the desk in front of Adam. I saw Adam's wine glass jump half an inch. Adam, what kind of terrible variety show did you set me up with? Are you trying to ruin my career in this industry on purpose? The only person brave enough to yell at Adam like that was his little sister, Queenie Green. I widened my eyes at the young girl. 10 years ago, I had carried her on my shoulders while we stole persimmons from the neighbor's tree. After her outburst, Queenie's voice turned teary. Brother, you know why I want to enter the entertainment industry. Didn't you promise me that as long as I win Best Actress, you'd help me pursue Quinn? Adam stepped over the desk and covered Queenie's mouth. But unfortunately, he was a moment too late. I heard everything I shouldn't have. My mind felt a bit foggy, filled with memories from 10 years ago, especially her big, dark, grape-like eyes. Adam let go of her and patted his sister. Queenie turned around and saw me looking awkward. Her face instantly flushed red. She glared at her brother for a moment, then lowered her head to greet me. Quinn, it's been a long time. Adam patted his sister's shoulder. I still have things to discuss with your Quinn. You can head out first. Queenie nodded and slowly made her way to the door, turning back to say goodbye to me multiple times. There was a hint of shyness in her eyes, but more of something I dared not explore further. I looked at Adam, who was watching me like a hawk, and felt a surge of anger. So you encouraged me to go to Cheeming to keep me away from Queenie? Seeing I was genuinely upset, Adam explained apologetically. At that time, Queenie was still a minor, always following you around, not even glancing at me, her brother. The more he spoke, the more pitiful he sounded, really fatherly. I thought she just idolized you. It was a mere crush. After a few years of not seeing you, she would forget. But who knew she insisted on going to Beijing for years of college without even dating, and she chased after you into the entertainment industry right after graduation? No matter how I tried to dissuade her, it didn't work. Adam clasped his hands together. I was wrong. You're a good person. Please help me look after Queenie. I don't trust anyone else with her. I was puzzled. Did he think I was a better choice for her? And didn't he just say to keep my distance? Why the sudden change? Adam spent an hour rambling about Queenie's growth over the years. If I hadn't let her into the entertainment industry, she'd be on the streets, even had a bad crowd picked out. She said if it weren't for you, anyone would do. Damn it. My heart skipped a beat at those words. I lowered my eyes. Fine, I'll take Queenie. I created a lively and cheerful persona for Queenie and lined her up for a new countryside variety show. On the day of the shoot, I unexpectedly ran into Livia Sterling and Vanessa Bennett. When Livia Sterling saw the girl standing next to me, her eyes were blazing with anger. "I thought you were doing well and didn't want to come back, but you've gone off to train newcomers?" She looked up and down at Queenie Green, sizing her up. "Not that impressive. Your taste really is getting worse." To my surprise, Queenie Green, this little firecracker, didn't cause a scene. She leaned closer to me, tugging at my index finger with her small hand, and looked at me with frightened eyes. "Ethan, this sister is really scary. I didn't do anything. Why does she hate me?" This statement threw Livia Sterling off balance. Since her career had been on the rise, it had been a long time since anyone dared to talk back to her like this. "A little newcomer dares to challenge me? Do you believe I can get you banned from the entire internet?" Instinctively, I shielded Queenie Green behind me, a smirk on my face. "Just you? You really think you're something special? Let's see how you can get her banned." My words held no mercy, and Livia Sterling, in disbelief, pointed at me with trembling hands. "You're defending her?" Vanessa Bennett hurriedly stepped in as a mediator. Having been Livia's manager for only a few months, the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes had already increased. I ignored the two of them, taking Queenie Green's hand to greet the director. The variety show officially started filming, marketed with the gimmick of artists surviving in the wild, gathering 10 celebrities and splitting them into 5 groups. Among them, Queenie Green had the lowest status. She had just debuted, and her screen time was supposed to be minimal, but the director had a good relationship with me and specially gave her quite a few close-ups. Livia Sterling was extremely jealous. The treatment she used to enjoy exclusively was now given to someone she hadn't even looked at before. She threw her fishing net on the ground and began to act like a diva. It wasn't until the director called for a break that she realized she had barely been filmed at all. Livia Sterling stomped her way to find Vanessa Bennett, demanding that she negotiate with the director. "If my screen time doesn't reach half in the next segment, I'm not participating in this show anymore." Vanessa Bennett frowned and advised, "Director Chen's show is #1 in national ratings. Your acting isn't great, and the path for seasoned actors is tough. You should seize this opportunity to pivot while the spotlight is hot." But Livia Sterling wasn't about to listen. She angrily pointed at me in the distance and hissed, "That trash you're managing gets 1/3 of the screen time, and I, a dignified best actress, why should I be her support? When Ethan managed me, he had everything sorted out from the start. Why can't you do the same?" Vanessa Bennett was fuming but unwilling to admit I was better. She could only force a smile and head to the director's lounge. But as she entered, twisting her waist seductively, Director Chen unceremoniously kicked her out and warned her that if Livia Sterling showed a long face again, he'd kick her out of the crew. "We're a small temple. We can't accommodate such a big Buddha." Vanessa Bennett, feeling humiliated and angry, ran back and had a big fight with Livia Sterling. Although Livia was proud, she wasn't foolish. She knew that her fame would rise again after this show aired. Almost all the footage was centered around her, and now after a whole episode, she was left with only 3 close-ups. How could she be satisfied? Vanessa Bennett had a small reputation in the management circle, and it was the first time she had been scolded for being useless by an artist. When the second segment wrapped, Livia Sterling came looking for her again, and Vanessa Bennett managed a cold smile. "I'm just a useless person. Best Actress Livia should go talk to Director Chen herself. Who knows? Maybe because of your status, we can get a few more close-ups." Seeing that Vanessa Bennett wasn't willing to stand up for her, Livia's anger flared even more. "Is it wrong to say you're useless? When Ethan was my manager, I never had to worry about anything. Just look at you. Ethan is so great. Why don't you go find him?" "Oh right. Even if you go find him, he won't look back. He doesn't want you anymore." Vanessa Bennett snapped, ruthlessly exposing Livia Sterling's little thoughts. She had never dealt with such a difficult and disrespectful artist. Most importantly, Vanessa Bennett couldn't stand anyone saying she was worse than me. She had always been in a silent competition with me, not wanting to admit defeat. The two women, like volcanoes erupting, lost their minds and started pulling at each other. The photographers working on the variety show were very perceptive, rushing over with their cameras, fearing they'd miss some explosive news. Livia Sterling quickly realized and hurried to separate from Vanessa Bennett, both of them looking extremely disheveled, clothes ruffled, and hair in chaos. Meanwhile, I stood beside Queenie Green, enjoying the show. Under the mocking gazes of everyone, Livia Sterling shot me a fierce glare and then covered her face and ran away. The next day, news broke that Livia Sterling had withdrawn from the variety show. The company announced that Livia was too busy and exhausted with her schedule, which made her appear fatigued on the show. Who knows how many contracts she lost or how much penalty she had to pay due to negative news. Livia Sterling was naturally unwilling to be kicked out just like that, so she started a live stream on the platform. When someone asked why she withdrew from the variety show, her eyes turned red. I really didn't mean to. I accidentally bumped into that newcomer and got targeted. I've worked hard to get to where I am today. Unlike some newcomers who have financial backers and can immediately become popular, she quickly covered her mouth, pretending to be casual. Ah, is this something I can say? Sorry, I was just joking. This clumsy attempt to cover up directly pushed Queenie Green into the spotlight. Soon, Vanessa Bennett hired online trolls to spread rumors that Queenie Green was being supported by Capital. Additionally, some netizens revealed that Queenie Green's current manager happened to be the ex-manager of Livia Sterling, with whom there had been rumors. Now, conspiracy theory experts jumped out. Many people began to criticize me, saying I wanted to take revenge on Livia Sterling, claiming I had ulterior motives, even saying that the smear campaign against Livia Sterling was orchestrated by me. I took the prepared plan to Adam Rollins. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Queenie Green tugging on Adam Rollins' tie, shouting at him like a lioness. Ethan is such a good person. Why are those bad guys slandering him? You need to clarify for Ethan. No, I want. Hearing the door open, she turned and saw me, quickly releasing Adam Rollins' tie. She rubbed her hands together, her voice dropping significantly. Ethan, I'm discussing something with my brother. That. Adam Rollins looked at me with a bitter smile. Why don't you just marry her? Let you two leave me alone. Queenie Green insisted on revealing her identity, so I modified the plan. The next day, media outlets reported that Queenie Green was the younger sister of the boss of Stellar. As for me, I crafted a deep emotional narrative. I even created an over 80-page PowerPoint presentation detailing how I represented Livia Sterling, passionately accusing her of being ungrateful. I also reported Vanessa Bennett for hiring trolls and spreading rumors. Finally, I tagged my former employer, asking if I had been diligent for the company all these years. This wave of actions truly cleared Queenie Green's name and even earned her popularity. Netizens joked. So it turns out she wasn't being supported by Capital. She is Capital herself. I apologize for my ignorance. Does the young lady need a butler? I've always found Livia Sterling unpleasant. Turns out she really is a white-eyed wolf. The response from Cheeming Entertainment was swift. They issued an apology statement the same day and said they would compensate me. The boss personally called, feigning concern. Livia Sterling continued her relentless live streaming, claiming to have deep feelings for me and wanting to meet. That night, I received a call. The other party was silent for a long time. Ethan, it's me. I understood. I had already blocked Livia Sterling's number, and she must have found another one. I frowned in annoyance. What's the matter? Livia Sterling took a deep breath. Ethan, I admit I was wrong before. If I sincerely hope you can come back now, would you? Before I could respond, she continued on her own. Vanessa always takes on unsuitable gigs for me. Her connections are too shallow, filled with newcomers or insignificant small bosses, and she always makes me drink with directors, saying that no one watches my acting anyway. I feel that Vanessa isn't suitable for me. I realize my mistake. Come back. Okay? Continue being my manager. All right? Ha, wasn't she just defending Vanessa a while ago? This was Livia Sterling's first formal softening towards me, her tone carrying some sincerity. but it was just her slightly realizing reality. She didn't know there were worse things waiting for her. "Sorry it's late. I need to sleep." I hung up the phone without hesitation. I really didn't want to waste more time listening to her talk. It was just bad luck. When Vanessa was sentenced to 10 months in prison for insult and defamation, Livia Sterling realized she could no longer win me back. She then reconnected with Cecil Winchester, continuing to show off their love, hoping to rehash the story of first love and broken hearts. Cecil Winchester's acting career wasn't smooth. He relied on Livia Sterling's popularity to enter the industry, but he couldn't act. It was one thing to be unqualified. He also refused to put in the effort to learn, and soon he was shelved by Cheeming. However, this publicity stunt with Livia Sterling not only failed to yield any positive results but also received only a pitiful amount of negative reviews. The flip-flopping behavior of Livia Sterling was off-putting. She wanted to thrive on bad publicity but couldn't even land a commercial. She finally couldn't sit still anymore. One morning, I was awakened by the urgent ringing of my phone. It was Adam Rollins. He spoke seriously. "Ethan, check Twitter." Turned out I had made it to the trending list. Livia Sterling suddenly broke down in tears at the press conference for her new drama. As she wiped her tears, she recounted the difficulties she had faced over the years. "My former agent fired my life assistant to control me. He restricted my freedom, suppressed me, and manipulated me, forcing me to take roles according to his wishes. He even threatened me with the resources he held, demanding that I live with him. If it weren't for Cecil always supporting and comforting me, I wouldn't know how to get through this." Once the video was released, the internet seemed to explode. Everyone was cursing me, telling me to die. Some angry fans even broke through security and rushed into the building where I had left. They splashed paint at the entrance, burned wreaths, and even smashed doors and windows. It seemed she was furious and ashamed. There were surveillance cameras outside the building, and all the troublemakers were arrested by the police. I had no patience to wait for the dust to settle. I directly released a few recordings and videos online. Livia claimed that her assistant had ulterior motives and pleaded with me to take over her daily life. She said, "Ethan, I really don't know who can help me. Please have pity on me." At the wrap party, Livia confessed her feelings to me while hugging my neck. Afterward, she promised me, "I, Livia Sterling, will only love Ethan Quinn, never leaving or abandoning him." Then she swaggered in and out of my room with Cecil Winchester, smashing my collectibles and rummaging through my personal belongings without my permission. Livia was nominated for the Best Actress award, becoming even more arrogant. "You're just a stepping stone on my path to success. Even without you, I would eventually become the best actress. Do you still want to control me? Dream on." The last recording was Livia cursing Cecil Winchester. "He and his parents are so materialistic. Sooner or later, I will make him lick my shoes like a dog." The entire internet was ignited again, and Livia crazily lost followers. The first to contact me was Vanessa Bennett. Her voice was weary. It seemed she hadn't been doing well these days either. It made sense. Public relations was her strong suit, but it was limited to flattering directors and investors. When a star's negative news broke, she could only hire AI bots for support. "Ethan, Livia is someone you brought up. Do you really want to ruin her?" On the other end of the line, I could hear Livia crying. Her voice was loud, and I pictured Vanessa shoving the phone close to her mouth. It was somewhat amusing. "Did I make her slander me at the press conference?" Vanessa stammered, sounding flustered. "This isn't the fault of the company or mine. It's her own reckless behavior. Even if my boss is foolish, he wouldn't attack you." I believed this. I had plenty of dirt on Cheeming film and television. Even if my boss hated me, he would still keep me steady before planning anything else. Vanessa was even less likely to challenge me. She didn't have the strength for that yet. Livia's voice came through in broken sobs. I really know I was wrong. Ethan, please, I just didn't think it through." I lazily leaned back on the couch, watching Queenie Green, like a little rabbit, decorating my new home. I was a full 10 years older than her. even in the throes of puberty. I had never had any inappropriate thoughts about her. But now, I found myself unable to look at her exposed thigh peeking out from her shorts. Ethan, what do you really want? The scream on the phone snapped me back to reality. I smiled nonchalantly. First, let her publicly apologize to me. If she's unwilling, I have even more explosive material. After saying that, I hung up the phone. That evening, Livia went live on a short video platform, publicly apologizing to me. She said that due to the immense pressure, she had developed depression and spoke without thinking. Her tear-streaked face did earn her some forgiveness from a portion of her fans. Can't blame Livia entirely. It takes two to tango. Doesn't that former agent have any faults? This guy is too melodramatic. Just a few words from her, and he goes as far as exposing his ex online? Ladies, keep your eyes peeled. Stay away from such men. Livia is right. She's been working so hard, and she will eventually become the best actress without relying on other men. But Livia's CP fans were not happy. What's going on? Didn't they break up because of going abroad and couldn't be together? Do they really love each other? Livia cursed so harshly. It's all for publicity. I heard it was to help Cecil debut, and she was playing the role of the devoted lover while being with her former agent. She was straddling two boats, unfollowing and backstabbing. I had maintained Livia's perfect image for 3 years, and it all came crashing down in an instant. Other rival companies also exposed Livia for being difficult, engaging in female competition, and disrespecting her seniors, among other scandals. I casually placed my phone on the table and went to take a shower. These days, to personally tailor a plan for Queenie Green, I moved into the Green family. I had lived with the Green family for a while during middle school, and Mr. and Mrs. Green treated me almost like a son. I suspected they knew that Queenie had feelings for me, as their teasing glances made me a bit embarrassed. When I came out of the shower, Queenie was looking upset while scrolling through my phone. Upon seeing me, she nervously hid the phone behind her, then hesitated and reluctantly handed it back to me. I opened it to find a news article about Livia Sterling dancing wildly at a bar, captured by a reporter while trying to drown her sorrows. This wasn't the first time something like this happened, but I had managed to keep it under wraps. I really didn't know how Vanessa Bennett had turned the crisis management into this. I turned to Queenie and asked, "Why are you feeling guilty just for looking at Twitter?" Queenie's right foot rubbed against the carpet, a little gesture she always made when she did something wrong as a child. I accidentally liked a post. After saying that, she quickly added, "I immediately unliked it." I rolled my eyes with the speed of modern internet users. That like was probably already screenshot. Sure enough, less than a minute later, a screenshot of my like appeared on Twitter. Immediately, my phone rang again. It was Vanessa calling. Livia's number had long been blocked by me, but I hadn't blocked Vanessa's. In our line of work, connections are also a resource, and I was planning to recruit some investors from her circle. "Ethan Quinn, Livia is drunk. Can you come pick her up?" She started playing the emotional card, fearing I would refuse. "She keeps calling your name, crying and saying she made a mistake. You care about her situation, right? It means you still have feelings for her." It seemed Vanessa didn't know that Livia had already tried to undermine her earlier to make me take over. Livia's incoherent voice rang out at the right moment. "Ethan, boo-hoo, why did you leave? Can you come back?" "Ethan, we're at the bar she often goes to, you know?" I glanced at Queenie, who was looking timidly at me. She always shouted and argued with her brother, but in front of me, she was like a little quail. I replied, "I don't know, sorry," and hung up. Queenie cautiously looked at me. "Ethan, do you still like her?" I ruffled her hair and walked upstairs. What do little kids know about liking someone? When I opened the door, I heard Queenie murmur softly, "How could you not know? I've liked you for over 10 years, you big fool, knowing nothing." My footsteps paused for a moment, and I quickly shut the door. The latest Best Actress award was in Queenie's hands. She stood on the stage, smiling brightly, the spotlight shining on her like a golden halo. If it weren't for Sister Livia's kind help, How could Ethan have come to support a newcomer like me? She looked at me in the audience, raised the trophy in her hand, and beamed. I can only take this Best Actress position in place of my sister. Now the netizens started shipping me and Queenie. Just when I thought I was finally getting lucky, Livia unexpectedly made headlines again. Over the years, her on-again, off-again relationship with Cecil Winchester had only been reported by a few small marketing accounts. Livia Sterling cornered by her boyfriend at a bar. Cecil Winchester caught in a scam. Livia Sterling fills the hole for love. Livia Sterling proposed to Cecil Winchester, but was stopped and insulted by his parents. The latest trending news was shocking. Livia Sterling, in a candlelit conversation with an investor, splashed with acid by boyfriend Cecil Winchester, leaving her disfigured. In the video, Livia was sitting in the lap of a greasy old man, both of them drinking from a shared cup. Suddenly, a figure rushed in and splashed a bottle of liquid on Livia. Cecil shouted amidst Livia's screams, "I put my dad in the hospital for you, and you were playing around behind my back." I had never allowed Livia to go to such gatherings, fearing she would turn out like this. But clearly, Vanessa wanted her to end up this way. At that moment, Livia's assistant called me, saying that Livia had suffered 50% burns on her face and her condition wasn't good. They hoped I could visit her in the hospital out of respect for our past. Before I could make a move, several gossip reporters contacted me. They said Livia had hired them to wait outside the hospital for me to visit her. I hadn't planned on going. Putting down my phone, I began to plan a honeymoon trip with Queenie. The last I heard about Livia was that Cecil went to prison while she was borrowing money for plastic surgery. Queenie snatched my phone and slammed it on the table. She cupped my face and bit down hard on my lips.